Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Crime Chronicles. This is with Andy and Eric. Some stories that we've had during our career. Let's just get right into it. Go ahead, Andy.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, me and Eric, we just want to share some stories that happened to us during our law enforcement careers. Some exciting, some not so exciting, and some with lessons that are involved also. But this episode is going to be called Be Prepared for Anything, Anywhere. This is a story from early in my law enforcement career. This occurred on November the 17th, 1988. This is a story that I'll never forget.
You are digging way back on that
way
one.
Way back. I was just barely 21 years old. I was still a dispatcher with the Houston County Sheriff's Office, about to be promoted to a deputy position. I think we were waiting for someone to retire or leave or whatever the case may be, and I was going to get their position. But I already knew that. But I was still a dispatcher. I'd been working on day shift on this particular day and had gotten off work at 3 p.m. I came home. It was one of those days that started off kind of cool, and then, it turned into a warmer day. I got home. My mother was outside. She was out raking some leaves in the backyard and on the side of the house. And I went in and took my shirt off and just, was laid on my bed under the fan, just kind of cooling off there. And our home phone rang. And this was days before everybody had cell phones. But, my father was a law enforcement officer also, and there was usually a marked state revenue car sitting there in the yard. So everybody knew that, our family was law enforcement, anybody around our neighborhood there. And we lived on Headstrom Drive, which is in Dothan, just the first house just inside the circle there, right off the bypass. And the home phone rang, and I answered the phone, and a lady said, "Is this Mr. Hughes?" I said, "Well, this is his son." She said, "Is this Mr. Hughes, the policeman?" I said, "Well, this is Andy, his son." She said, "There's a man and a woman fighting next to a car between your house and the circle." I said, "Okay, I'll go check it out." Well, I grabbed my pistol. I grabbed a badge that I had, and I had a portable radio. And I put my shirt back on, and about the time I got to the front door, I heard a shot fired.
Oh.
Well, my mother was coming around to the front door at the time, and I told her, I said, "You get in the house." And just a second later, I heard another shot fired. And I looked from our front door, and I could actually see the car there, but I couldn't see anybody around. So I was cool back then. I had a red 1986 Trans Am.
Oh, yeah, you were cool.
But I got in my Trans Am, and I pulled down to where the car was at. It was probably about 50 yards from our driveway. I pulled my car across the road. There was a guy at the door, the passenger door of the car, and I could see a set of legs down underneath the door. The door was open. I could see a pair of legs below the door. Mm-hmm. And he's there, and he's trying to push somebody back into the car. Well, I get him at gunpoint, and I tell him to stop, and he's not stopping. Well, I get on the radio, and I call for, tell him, give him my number. Tell him I got shots fired with a possible domestic call in progress, and that I need backup immediately. Well, finally, this guy, I coerced him along with my pistol that I had at the time to quit doing what he was doing and get down, face down in front of the car.
Your tool of negotiation.
Yeah. Well, I held cover on him while I went around to check on the person whose legs I could see underneath the door of the car. And there's a lady there. And the first thing I see is an exit wound right around one of her right kidney area.
Oh, wow. He shot her.
Yeah, he shot her.
Oh,
They
wow.
were in a domestic there. Well, I keep him at gunpoint. We get some law enforcement people on the scene. Actually, my daddy was just leaving the courthouse, and he heard the call go out, shots fired, Headstrom Drive and Ross Clark Circle.
Oh, I bet his pucker factor.
So he's running code 3, and, half the sheriff's office and Dothan PD is coming,
Yeah.
Well, ended up, this guy, his name was Floyd Wesley Cole. Him and his wife, her name was Gwendolyn. And Gwendolyn, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know her since I worked in dispatch, but she was actually a nurse at the county jail. Another witness had also seen them at Haven Drive in the circle right there before you come on to Ross Clark Circle, and they were fighting in the car then. Well, they come on around, a little less than a quarter of a mile. They pull off on Headstrom Drive. They're continuing to fight there. And he actually shot her in the chest with a small caliber handgun. Mm-hmm. Shot her in the chest, and it exited out her kidney area there. Mm-hmm. Well, it clipped her, according to the autopsy, it clipped her aorta.
So she passed away.
She passed away very quickly. She was, bled out very quickly. And then he shot himself in the foot through the top of his boot. He shot himself to make it look like it was self-defense. And then he had thrown the pistol into a ditch. Matter of fact, he had just thrown a pistol into the ditch when I confronted him, and then he walked back. I was ordering him to come toward me. He stopped at the car door and was trying to push her back in the car. I don't know if he thought he was going to take off with her in the car at that point or whatever the case may be, but he was trying to push her back into the car when I finally got him into custody. And when some Dothan PD units got there, they ended up handcuffing him. And I actually had to come back from the police academy in March of '89, I believe it was, and testify in his trial. And he ended up, a jury ended up only convicting him of manslaughter.
Really?
And he served 20 years. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind it was a murder.
How did they get a manslaughter on that?
I don't know. It was a lesser included offense.
That's crazy.
Nowadays that would have been a capital murder charge. If you just shot someone inside a vehicle after the new law came out.
Yeah.
Several years ago about shooting someone that was inside a vehicle. But that was a day. It was something. It was a day, and I just gotten home from work, and was just cooling off, thinking about what I was going to maybe do that evening. I'm at my own house, and not expecting any excitement whatsoever, and didn't have to go out and find that excitement. It found me, and unfortunately, this lady lost her life. And it turns out that they had many, many domestic issues prior to that, and he was a man that his children even feared him. Yeah. He was just that type of individual. He's dead now. He died several years after he got
How long did he serve?
I think he served almost his whole term of 20 years. I was aware. I don't remember what year it was now, but I was aware, when he got out of prison and all. But
that's a good point. I'm trying to remember who it was that told me. You remember Sergeant Harden?
No, yeah. Donald Harden.
He told me one night on night shift because I was always
John Brown.
John Brown.
That was the ugliest word that Donald Harden would ever say. Would be,
you better stop it, John Brown. I'll be John Brown if you do that again. He got on to me one night because I was that guy that wanted to go all the time. I was going to everything. If it was a burglar alarm, I'm going to the burglar alarm. If I was wanting to catch somebody, and he stopped me one night. He said, "You need to learn how to work your zone." I'm like, I thought I was doing a good job. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Stop looking so hard for this stuff. It'll come to you."
Yeah.
And that's a good example of it'll come to you. It came to your house.
Yeah. Someone pulled off the highway within 50 yards of my driveway and committed a murder. And just, luckily, I or anybody else could have been there, but I was there and ended up capturing the guy right there at my driveway. And
hey, you think about it, man. Your mom was outside there.
Yeah, she was outside. It scared her, and I told her, I said, "You get in the house," because she come around to the front door about the time I was headed out the door with my pistol, and she could have caught a stray round, or anybody riding on the circle or wherever.
Oh yeah,
could have caught a stray round there. Yeah,
that's
but just one of those things that like I said, you don't have to always be looking for something. Sometimes it comes to you, but you've always got to be prepared. And there's a lot of cops out there, a lot of retired cops. And I used to get on my deputies when I was sheriff. I put out a memo that you shall be armed at any time. Mm-hmm. And I told my deputies, I said, "Listen, if you can ever catch me without a gun on me," I said, "I'll buy you a steak dinner at Conestoga."
Have you got a gun on you now?
Yeah. No, I don't.
All right, I want my steak
I've
dinner.
got two.
Okay.
But
fair enough.
That's my normal EDC. But law enforcement officers, former law enforcement officers who have had training, and retired law enforcement officers need to be armed. I believe that your oath never expires. If you're a retired law enforcement officer, you still need to be ready to take action. As long as you are physically and mentally able, I do believe that your oath never expires. And a lot of retired cops will not agree with me on this. They're going to say, I did 20, 25, 30 years. I'm done. It ain't my responsibility anymore. I'm sorry. It is your responsibility.
When when the situation finds you, it's definitely your
You
responsibility.
know, you've had that training, you've had that experience. I would hate to know that I'm retired and I'm at some public venue and a mass shooting takes place. You have got an active shooter in progress,
And you
and
fail
I
to
was
act.
not armed,
Yeah.
and I was not prepared to take action. Of course, once I got my family or loved ones to safety, put them in a safe direction, and then take care of business. But I believe it's an oath that never expires. Retired cops need to continue to arm themselves and be ready to take action, not some disorderly conduct, some guy standing out in the parking lot at Walmart cussing or anything like that. Yeah, call the local PD, call the cops to come and take care of something like that. But you get somebody shooting or causing a dangerous situation, trying to injure or kill others.
Anything that's going to put, the people at risk.
You need to be prepared to intervene at any time. Be prepared, anytime, anywhere. It's kind of a motto.
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah. All right, and enjoyed sharing that one with y'all today.